when I lived in Washington State, I would go camping like often. I tried to camp somewhere else, somewhere different every weekend. But if I wasn't camping, I was hiking, and I would
And
hike in the general vicinity of where I lived all the time. But
this is before you believed in Bigfoot.
I didn't. I believed in. I always wanted to believe in Bigfoot, and I
Okay.
heard so many firsthand encounters living in Washington that like, I just and there's just so much like forest out there in Washington that like honestly I believed anything could be out there. Who would know? Because no one's really out there looking. And it rains so much, and like anything could pretty much hide out there, and it's a very wild place. Like it's like I want to say it is the Wild West because like out there's so much open space that people could get away with anything.
Hmm.
And there's it has the highest rate of serial killers per capita,
Hmm.
and
Fun
the
fact for
highest
you.
rate of suicide. And like
Did know that,
being out there, you just kind of understand. Like it's got that weird energy, but it's beautiful. Like the forest is just amazing. Like it rains so much, you have lichens and mosses everywhere, and it's really fun. But so I was living in Olympia, and I would hike all over the area. Like Olympia, like butts up to Capitol Forest, which is a forest with like logging roads and like hunting, like just basically roads, logging roads throughout the whole forest, and a lot of people hunt out there, and you could just go out there, but it's kind of like a dangerous area, but there's tons of sightings, and that butts up to the Olympic Peninsula. Um, so I heard there's this place called Staircase, which is next to Lake Cushman, and Staircase is like a very popular trail, and it goes up into the mountains, which are like the first mountains going into the Olympic Peninsula. And I went to Staircase one time, and there was just so many people, so I decided so I did the hike, and it was really cool, but I went back with my ex-girlfriend, and she wanted to summit a mountain for the first time. And there were like tons of mountains. Like this Staircase trail went to the very top of a mountain, and
Yeah.
then there's another trail that went to the top of a mountain. And there's this one trail called Copper Creek, which I decided to go on, and it was less traveled, and it went to the top of a mountain. So we take this trail, and we're hiking, and there's just nobody out there, and we're having like the best time, and like we're enjoying all these creeks, and like there's huge old growth trees, and like the elevation gain was incredible. Like within hours, like I don't really know how high up we were, but we were getting to like subalpine ecosystems where there's like subalpine type trees that
Yeah,
are only
right.
grow in high elevation areas, and so like there's just like the water out there is so clean. It's like glacier snow melt water, and like we went off trail for a little bit, and we're like playing in the water, and like there was a spring going into the water, and we're drinking
Oh,
out of the
nice.
spring, and I'm like, I get this feeling like, damn, like this is like and like we're high up on the mountain, and like you could see the Puget Sound, and you could see like Olympia where I lived, and like we were high up, and we were like getting into the like the woods. Like it was the wilderness. We were getting deep into the wilderness, and I started to realize like my girlfriend was 4'11" at the time, and I realized like, damn, like I'm kind of vulnerable out here. Like, all I have is a pocket knife, and like
She is heavy.
yeah, and like I almost felt like if it was me and you, Mike, out there, like I'd be like, okay, me and Mike, like if a
I could
mountain
run
lion,
faster than that guy, so he's
yeah,
okay.
I could run faster than Mike, so like I'm not that scared. No, but like in a real situation, I would be like, okay, I have Mike to back me up,
Yeah. I agree.
and like a mountain lion or a bear would be stupid to really attack us, but well, it wouldn't be stupid, but it better put up a good fight.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So like I realized like if something like that happened, I would be defending myself and protecting another, so like that made me feel even more vulnerable. But I was like so distracted by the beauty, and I'm just like enjoying it, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome, there's nobody out here. But like I kept hearing like so the first thing I heard was voices, and like I thought someone was coming down the mountain. Like, you know, when you're hiking on a trail and people are loud, like you could hear voices. Like I thought it was somebody like coming down the trail, and like I was just expecting someone to walk by us. But like I wasn't really paying attention because I hear that all the time. But like nobody came, and this trail was the only trail going up a mountain. So like anyone going up that mountain and in that valley would have to be using that trail. So nobody came, and I just kind of like blew it off like, oh, that was weird. I wasn't really thinking Sasquatch or anything like that, because like when you're hiking, and like I've heard a bunch of stories, and this is like for another time, like it's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down, but I've heard a bunch of Sasquatch stories living in Washington, but I didn't really know what to think. But this time I'm basically thinking, whatever, I blow it off, I hear noises, and I continue to walk. But like maybe like a half an hour later, I hear someone calling my name. Someone in the distance is going, Wiley, and I'm like, this is so weird. And I had been enjoying the wilderness, and we're having a great time. The endorphins are flowing. I did have that moment where I felt vulnerable, and when I felt vulnerable, it was almost like I felt like somebody was watching me. But anyway, I hear someone calling my name, and a dog runs past me, and I'm like, oh wow. And someone walks by and like screams my name like right into my face, and I look over and I'm like, yes, how can I help you? And they're like, no, I'm looking for my dog. And I was like, haha, my name's Wiley too. And they literally looked at me and they're like, okay, and just kept going down the mountain. And I was like, damn, I thought that was cool. I never met a dog named Wiley. But anyway, so I keep going, and like we're getting close to the top of the mountain, and we're in like this subalpine environment where there's like subalpine species of trees, which are trees that can only grow in like high altitude type environments. And like it's just like when you're in that kind of subalpine environment, it feels different. Like I don't know if it's the elevation gain or what, but it's exhilarating.
That's
and, like,
where we were today.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
On the top of Killington Peak.
Nothing better than that mountain, fresh mountain air.
No,
Oh.
it's cold.
But like a little background on my history is I've been a primitive survival instructor for like 8 years at that point, and I was studying wildlife biology at the Evergreen State College, and I was working alongside a wildlife biologist, helping him with field research and doing a bunch of various other jobs involving field research. So I basically had a really good understanding of like the forest noises that are going around me. I've heard mountain lions, bears, coyotes, you name it. But we're getting close to summiting the mountain, and I'm hearing like a whoop, a clear, low, bassy whoop, and like it went on way longer than that, and it was way louder than that. But like it like was alarming because like I'm hiking up the mountain and I'm having a good time, and like it just started out of nowhere, and it was loud enough that it was, and close enough that it was, I could feel it in the center of my chest, vibrating from the center out. And it's just like I don't know if anyone's ever heard a grouse fluttering its wings, but it was that same sort of sensation where you could feel the vibrations, but it wasn't a flutter of wings whatsoever. It's a animal whooping, and it was like like whatever it was big enough that it was a big enough animal to like make a loud enough sound that it vibrated your insides from the inside out. And this intrigued me. Like I'm hearing it and I'm going through all the animals that I know. Like this, what could this be? It's not an owl. It's not a mountain lion. It's not a bear. It's like the only animal I've ever heard was a grouse that like gave me the sensation. And it's definitely not a grouse. And like I've heard so many Bigfoot stories, and I'm like, is this a Bigfoot? I wonder if this is a Bigfoot. But it's like, and I'm almost in denial. Like this can't be a Bigfoot. Like what? Like I don't know. It's you can't even explain like all the thoughts that go through your head when you're hearing something like this that you've never heard before. And so, like whatever it was, you could tell it was powerful. And anyway, it's whooping, and it's going on like I'm getting like 50 feet from summiting this mountain, and I see like a little silhouette, and the silhouette like ducks literally just. It was just like a silhouette, and it moved down. It was like honestly like it was on an escalator, just going like this down the side of the mountain. And that almost confirmed it for me. I was like, this is definitely a Sasquatch. And the cool thing is like I saw it and it moved and it didn't miss a beat of whooping. And I'm like, come on, to my girlfriend, that's got to be a Sasquatch. And we're getting close to the top of the mountain. I'm like, let's see if we can find this thing. And I wasn't scared. I didn't feel intimidated. No, none of that. Like, oh, I had a rock thrown at me. Like, or, oh, this is a scary being. For some reason, I knew I was okay. And I get to the top of the mountain, and it's closer. Like, basically, like I'm 50 feet away from summiting this mountain. And I get to the very top, and the sound's loud. It's like right there, and I can't see this animal. But like what you don't realize is when you're on the top of the mountain, there's like cliffs all around you. Like a mountain points, and it gets like pointy at the top, and there's actual cliffs around you, and there's like not as much surface area as there was when you're hiking up the mountain, and as there is at the bottom. And I don't see anything, but I'm hearing this whoop, and it's vibrating my chest, and like I just have this sensation, and I'm just like looking for this animal, like I'm climbing over these cliffs, like, and I'm guessing like whatever, like the Sasquatch must have like ducked down, hopped over a cliff, and found like an embankment or something, and just continued whooping, and like I just like I'm up there, and I just kind of give up on looking, and I'm just listening to it in awe. And I hear another one start to reply back from another mountaintop.
Oh my gosh.
And they start going, whoop, whoop. And they're just whooping back. The whole time I'm up there, they didn't miss a beat. They didn't stop. And eventually I just got bored of listening to them. And I walked down the mountain.